Hey, deserving listeners, Vanderpump Rules. Let's watch.
It's really hard to accept that, and I'm seeing the person that I've become, and this isn't who I want to be. I don't want to be a person that hurts other people.
I know, that really sucks.
It's comical how, I don't know what is wrong with him, but something's askew. But for her, yeah, she's really struggling with it. I'm sure some people say she's just playing it up for the camera. She could be. I don't know. But yeah, she's like, who am I? And it's a great place that she's in, because hopefully that'll motivate her to figure that out, which can take years. What am I? Who am I? How did I do this? What happened there? Because it's not just affairs, right? That's not what's at risk. The problem, I'm guessing, is way deeper in terms of who she is, what she is, her needs, her decisions, her denial capacity. She might have been modeled denial from family, alcoholism, that kind of thing, who knows. But then Tom, in the midst of all this, he's like, yeah, it sucks. Arguably, Tom is the bigger transgressor here and should be feeling these feelings times 10. And he seemingly is like, it's like someone saying, oh my God, I have to go on a jog later and it's raining. Yeah, it sucks.
Seeing the person that I've become, and this isn't who I want to be. I don't want to be a person that hurts other people.
I know, that really sucks. It's just really hard for all these people to just think that we're the most evilest people ever.
And then he goes to that. Is right away when it first came out, that's what he's been focusing on for this whole time. This woe is me. I can't believe. And it is true that I would say, because I've been not defending them, but saying it's not likely an accurate accusation that they're psychopaths. There are so many other possibilities as to why they did what they did. So what he's saying is potentially logical, but to focus on it, right? And then looking back to all the times that he has cried, looked genuine and seemed of the sort of self-pity, I can't believe that they're treating me this way. And I think it's because he hasn't exactly grown up yet. I think I gave this potential or something, this camp of analogy when I first saw it, was when you're in the third grade. Let's say that the third grader is not doing their homework, but lying to their parents that they are. And they're like, yeah, but I've done all my homework this week. And meanwhile, the kid's in his room playing video games or something, and lies for a month. And just straight up in the face, parents are like, oh, so you did your homework today? Yeah, absolutely. I did it. You're always on my back. And then it comes out that the kid's been lying for this whole time. And the parents sit down with the kid and have that talk, the disappointment talk, and say, why did you do it? What was going on? We're very disappointed in you. It's not okay to lie. And the child is mainly focused on themselves, of just how come everyone is disappointed in me? That's normal when you're 8 years old, right? It's normal at that age because you're underdeveloped. You don't really consider other people's feelings to the extent that you will later when you're an adult, supposedly. In fact, third graders who consider the feelings of their parents in an adult way, I worry about them, because in all likelihood they were forced to grow up too fast with regards to that, at the expense of knowing their own feelings and knowing that they deserve to take care of themselves. Third graders are mainly self-focused, and that's a good thing, because if you allow that to play itself out, they'll eventually graduate with self-esteem and stability and internal resources such that they can care for other people. So it kind of looks like that, right? It's just this obliviousness. You don't expect a third grader to consider their parents' feelings in the way that you should as an adult. You know what I mean? I mean, some third graders have empathy, but you don't want third graders to have a great amount of attention or motivation or effort on how do my parents feel? Are they okay? You know what I'm saying?
Upgrade got me. She is at this point.
They're like, now we can all unite together and be. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah. Well, if they have a common enemy, it could last a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I could absolutely see that. My dogs are barking. That when you have tension, and there seems to be a lot of history among the folks on this show, good and bad, and when you have tension, a very quick shortcut to reducing that tension between two people is to triangulate. Scapegoating being one. They even talked about scapegoating. They use that word. And that is an effective way. It's a dysfunctional way because it doesn't actually resolve the tension. It just distracts you. Seemingly seeing all the clips, and Andy was like kind of confronting people. It's like, well, you were cheating on this person. And I wonder if that's how it is. It could also be some performative or amping up. Ariana, her anger, her hurt makes total sense. I think Sheena's as well makes sense given her closeness to the situation. The others, I get it, but it seems a little amped up. And I guess James Kennedy also has a lot of potential for pain there around Raquel and around Tom, being that he believed Tom to be like a big brother to him. So I don't know. Maybe they all have legit reasons to be hurt and thus angry. But at the very least, it's a convenient mechanism of just like, well, we can agree that we hate that person. And so now we're closer. Also, in conversation with the viewership, right, that there probably were times where people on the show were the evil one by the end of the season. And I'm guessing that is kind of a hope that, well, maybe I have my ups and downs through the season, but at least by the reunion, I will be liked by the audience, by at least some people, because that will be better than otherwise. And so they might lean into it because of that. It's like, yes, we're obviously not the bad guy. And so now again, Ariana makes sense that she would be disgusted. I think there doesn't seem to be any sort of pretense to her emotionality and her anger and her sadness. But for the rest of them, you do wonder. Now, if I were their advisors in this moment, I would say, don't have this conversation in front of the cameras. You're not doing yourself any favors.
I understand what I did was very, very fucked up. But understand that, like, I'm a human. I make mistakes.
Yeah, I get it. And this is all okay. But in the absence of remorse and demonstrated remorse, this is not going to go over well with anyone, including the audience, but particularly Ariana. So it's okay that you have self-pity. It's okay. And I've said that from the beginning. His tears seem of the self-pity type, which is okay. Where are the tears for Ariana? Where is the remorse? Where's the shame? Where's the really feeling the pain that you caused Ariana and other people? That is absent. And without that, this is just self-pity. And also the way he lays this out of, I agree that what I did was very effed up, but it's like, why the but? You didn't see that from Raquel. Raquel didn't say, yeah, I really, really did something horrible and I'm so sorry, but I'm still a good person. Like, it shows that he has issues of some sort that eclipses his ability to see the bigger picture or identify with the harm that he's caused or something. Something's going on that, to him, this seems balanced. It seems right and it seems okay. That, okay, fine, I bet you anything look, I've apologized. And I think we even heard him say that. It's like, I've apologized a bunch of times. And I've already been over that as well, that really want to apologize. And you really want to get someone to accept your apology, or at least raise the likelihood of that, or of accepting forgiveness, or of receiving forgiveness. Just apologizing once for a major transgression is not enough. Imagine that. Imagine that your partner cheats on you for 8 months and then maybe even sincerely apologizes for a good 5 minutes. We've never seen that from him. He has not exhibited, but let's say, for the sake of argument, he did do that. I'm just going to say that if your partner for 5 minutes just said, I'm sorry, what I did was wrong, I hurt you, it's all my fault, here are some reasons, doesn't justify it, I'm going to make it up to you, I'm so sorry, you could hate me, really hard, they cry, they're speaking from their heart. Would you accept their apology and forgive them for 8 months of infidelity? Probably not. Yeah, maybe you would. It's a personal choice. But he hasn't even done that. But I think he thinks, I've already apologized. It's over. And so stop attacking me. And every time that he cries, it's always a clue as to why someone's crying. It's like, what's going on in their heart and soul as they begin to cry. And every time up until now, it was this acknowledgement of everyone hates me and everyone is being mean to me. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going, ow, that hurts. And it makes me tearful. It makes me feel bad for myself. That's okay. But you got to also recognize that you caused this whole thing. And maybe people are being a little over the top, but maybe they're not. Maybe it's justified.
Your life. Ariana, I know that you don't, you hate me. It's okay. It's okay. I understand. But I want you to know that I will always love you, and I will always be cheering you on from.
Whenever he's in this mode, they are the sort of things one would say when they're breaking up with someone and they feel bad. Everything that he's said and done is in line with that. That for him, he feels like, look, the relationship just ran its course. And of course I cheated because that's just what happens. You know, maybe he had parents that cheated on each other and it just feels completely normal to him. Like, you know, it's an unfortunate part of relationships. It just happens. And it's like, what? So he keeps, the language that he uses is along those lines where he's saying, I loved you. And okay, these are the sort of things that you would say to someone you break up. I'm so sorry that I hurt you. I'm so sorry that this happened. You know, those kinds of phrases. It's like, yikes.
Full for Sheena, Lala, James, and Katie, and Lisa, and you being there for me today and in the last 3 weeks and always. I will not forgive him.
Okay, so we're getting that indication, that verbal confirmation that she doesn't forgive him. Seemed that way, obviously. But one could argue that he hasn't apologized. Now, you can forgive someone without them apologizing if you choose to, but I don't think we've actually seen, and maybe it's happened off camera, but I don't think it has, where he has actually apologized. To actually apologize is to have remorse, to communicate convincingly that you have that remorse, that you recognize you harmed someone and you accurately identify the harm. You know, listen to all my deep dives on apologies. But, we just haven't seen that from him sufficiently.
This gang goes from here.
I think right now, looking forward, it's too much to process. I hope that some of us maybe can find some kind of forgiveness or compassion.
Well,
yeah, it's not something I would say if I were in her position. She's seemingly kind of like a matriarch-ish. And I saw behavior along these lines. I don't think I reacted to it directly, but I guess it's worth pointing out. She's a part of the system. When you're a part of a family, you're a part of a system. Everyone plays a role, and there's routines and different dynamics and mechanisms in that system. And this is a system. I don't know how often they're involved, but during the shooting of the show, they're involved. Anyway, and her role is to guide, to listen, to be a voice of reason. She's not, at least seemingly, typically involved in the drama's ground level. So she's kind of a voice of reason or helping people to come together. And that's all great. But given how raw this is, to, I think, directly tell Ariana that she's supposed to forgive or that she should forgive now or something is really discounting and really dismissive of what's happening. I commend Lisa Vanderpump's efforts, but it's not fair to Ariana or really anybody to say, I hope everyone can forgive. And what that points in the direction of, maybe similar to Tom Schwartz, that there's an anxiety about people being upset at each other. And as a therapist, we have to overcome that because people are going to get upset at each other. That's just reality. And it is a major barrier to being an effective, helpful, validating therapist when we ourselves are terrified of people being upset at each other, and we will just bludgeon or manhandle the family and suggest that they're supposed to like get over it, or they're supposed to look on the bright side, they're supposed to forgive. And that's just not okay. If someone wants to do it, they can do it. If they don't, they don't have to. And if they are going to forgive, people need to take their time, and you as a therapist, as a helper, as a matriarch, you need to be able to be with people in their process where they are in the moment. And so what I would have hoped she would have said, if she was trying to be helpful, if she's trying to move into the future in a positive way, she could be, she could just summarize that there's a lot of pain and she gets it. Maybe even individually say, Ariana, I get that you're in pain and I'm with you all the way, and your anger is justified, and I get that. And wherever you want to go with this, I'll support you and I'll be with you. In all likelihood, that I'm just going to take a guess and say that Ariana, a month from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 12 years from now, that she will have processed a lot of this and will have a different perspective, one that might be heading in the direction of forgiveness, or at the very least, non-hostility with Tom. Who knows? So all you have to do is just be with someone. That's an important principle of human life and of clinical work, emotional work as a therapist, is that if you are there for someone and you listen to someone and you give them space and you create a safe place where they can think and feel and explore and talk, then people naturally head towards health. Not all the time. Sometimes there are barriers to that. But if you're with someone, you don't have to push someone down the road. They will naturally go that direction in general. So, she could have just said something like that. Or she could have even said, and this is another layer to this, that therapists need to learn how to recognize and to act upon. I might say something like this. I might say something like, well, I'll tell you, and sometimes I would as a therapist. I might say, well, I tell you, I care about everyone in this room equally, and some of you have done some horrible things recently, but a lot of you have done, not you, Ariana, but a lot of you have done horrible things in the time that I've known you, and I still love you, and I still care about you, and I consider you all to be kind of like my kids or something, and it pains me to see that you've hurt each other. It pains me to see you continue to hurt each other and to be upset at each other. It gives me anxiety and it gives me pain. That's okay. I'll deal with it. But I have this impulse to somehow try to push everyone towards forgiveness. That's not okay. But I'm anxious. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I don't even know what to say in this one. She could have said something like that. As a therapist, you could say that. It's better than just saying, I hope you can forgive. That's way too fast, given where Ariana is understandably at.
What everyone needs is a little bit of time. Thank you all for being so open tonight. And
I guess from a capitalistic corporation point of view, which I think Andy at least knows about, a lot of people's jobs and investments and careers might depend on them at least being able to interact with each other, right? Or at least it would, be good TV if they can actually get them to interact with each other. If you can have those scenes between Tom and Ariana, or at least in the same room where some drama can happen, because they might worry. It's like, well, what if Tom or Ariana or Raquel say, I don't want to be on the show anymore. It's too painful to me. You lose, especially now, given how huge this show is on the international stage, they're potentially set up for life after this point if they can make the next season profitable and have a lot of people watch it, right? So, in some ways they could say, I'm glad that this affair happened because we're just raking it in. It's awful to think about, but you imagine. Now, I'm sure that they wouldn't say, look, it wasn't our fault. We didn't do it. It's their choice, but, we're benefiting from this. So, maybe that's another part of it that Vanderpump and Andy at least are allowing to influence them. Andy says, it may take time. Again, it's a little less accusatory or pushy to Ariana, but you could imagine Ariana feeling that way. It's just like, time? Really? No, there's no amount of time. How about acknowledging that my pain and my rigidity is valid. Yeah, how about that? All right, well, if you didn't know, we started the YouTube membership program. So if you want to become a member of the channel and support what we're doing here, you can click the join button on our channel or on the video below. If you don't see the join button next to the subscribe button, then sometimes you have to go to a different place for it. There also might be a URL somewhere in the description below to help guide you. I don't know why the join button doesn't show up. But anyway, when you become a member, you are literally paying my bills, frankly, and some other people who work on this podcast, which means that I don't have to spend time on other jobs away from the YouTube channel. And what that means is I get to do more stuff like this. So by becoming a member, you're literally giving me the ability to do this, but only if you can afford it and only if you want to, and take care of yourself either way, because you deserve it. You really, really do.